Today on the Garage Gym Experiment podcast, we have Brian Fleck. He is the founder of Wait It Out. Brian, thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it. I know we've worked together in the past, so I'm excited.
Yeah, and I've definitely heard your story on other podcasts before, but I'd love to just hear it again. Can you tell me just like where were you at in life when you decided to join the gym equipment manufacturing game? I guess.
Yeah. Obviously it's a story I've told a few times, and again, it's weird to see where I'm at now compared to where I started. Obviously, it hasn't been that long of a journey, to be honest. It's only been 4.5 years. We're going on our 5th year, 2025. But in general, right when the pandemic hit, I have another company too. It's industrial supplies. So think of a Granger, Fastenal, that kind of thing. I was doing safety products. I was doing abrasives, adhesives, anything that goes in the manufacturing world. So I knew a lot of manufacturers in the local area. But at that time, I was obviously a lot of safety stuff was going on with nitrile gloves, with masks that people kept reaching out to me to get those, and I had them for years. But all of a sudden, everything got messed up. But I liked going to work out at the gym. I lived in an apartment at the time. Obviously the gym shut down, and the apartment, there's nothing there I can really do. So I was like, well, you know what? There's an opportunity here. There's a market. I know people. Let's just make some weight plates, real simple, and I'll have them for myself, and I'll be good. So, I reached out to one of the manufacturers. He was able to make it out of solid steel, of course, which at that time I wasn't thinking much about solid steel. I was just like, let's just make weight plates, and they're thin, they're space saving, we're good. I got an apartment. It's awesome. So we basically got some plates made. I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I'll sell them on Facebook, help the community out in the meantime, which I did. But as it turned out, people on Facebook were like, I've been looking for these types for years, like way before the pandemic, and nobody made them. So I was like, oh, there may be a market here. A little longer, but I still thought it was more of an opportunistic environment where, hey, I'll be here for a few months, pandemic goes away, and I'll go back to my regular 9-to-5 job, that kind of thing. Yes, working out was a passion. It was thin. It was easy for the apartment when I lived there. So there was some benefits of it and some attributes that nobody else did in the history of weight plate manufacturing. So here I am now. After that's kind of where it started, and it just continued to evolve and adapt. And I was like, well, people like the stuff, and the steel market went up a lot, and obviously in 2021. So I figured I was done at that point. I was like, nobody's going to pay $120 for a solid steel weight plate that doesn't have any machining to it, that kind of thing. It doesn't make sense anymore. I think the market's caught up, but we got through that part, and the price dropped a little bit more to make it better for the customers. So, and here we are now, and obviously there's a few more products that we saw the market needed, and we worked on them. And I say me worked on them, and not to be that guy, but there's only really me and another guy that do the stuff. I do all the packing, I do the marketing, I do everything. So it's been a good journey. It's been long. It's been stressful. There's been times you just want to go down in the fetal position and cry a little bit. But I think we've all been there when it comes to business and getting that stress. But it's definitely a character building experience, and I know I'm helping a lot of people out, and they're enjoying it. So there's a market. There's a market that needed to be filled that nobody did, and I'm happy that I can do it.
Yeah, you're still here. What about, can you go back to, can you explain your first design? Like, did you actually design it and send to somebody, or did you just say, hey, can you make me some plates, and this is how it turned out?
Yeah, I mean, it was basically, I wouldn't say I designed it, because it was just based off of physics, right? You make a circle and you put a center hole in it, and it weighs this much weight. That's simple as that. You laser cut it or you plasma cut it, you can water jet cut it. We did some powder coating, which the powder coating, long term, as we found out, for solid steel was not the right solution, because it flakes off, because it's such a very smooth substrate, and it doesn't adhere very well if you're banging it against each other. So the design was, the manufacturer said, yeah, we can cut a circle and put a hole in it. We'll put some handles on the 45s, because we knew we needed an Olympic diameter, so the handles had to be incorporated. It was it was an afterthought. It was part of the whole design, because you had to calibrate the weight, and those handles calibrated the weight to be Olympic. Otherwise, it would have weighed like 56 pounds or something like that, and that Olympic size diameter, 3/4 inch. So
Interesting. So basically, you just said make some plates, and it turned out to be like unique to anything else on the market, and you found out like, hey, actually, people are interested in this style of plate. I think there's something here.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think the marketability of it was the challenge, but also was the benefit of it in regards to. I mean, they're obviously with the physics of solid steel, they're thin. So therefore, they're thin. You get more on the bar. You get more space saving. And when I lived in an apartment at the time, it was nice to have a 300 pound stacked up like this in my corner, and I could do whatever I wanted with it. So it's not taking up much space at all, just for something you need for weight plates. But I guess the marketability came as it progressed as we adapted to the brand. It was definitely a something that you didn't know I didn't even know we needed it all in the market. It was something that just like, hey, let's just make something and we'll go from there. But as we found out, there's so many more benefits, and the calibration was a big one too with solid steel. I think that was the biggest benefit too, is every piece will weigh exactly the same.
Got it. So what did that? I mean, can you explain? You mentioned in 2021 you thought, okay, maybe we're done. Can you explain like what that first year looked like, and then maybe just like right at like what kept you going after you saw the steel prices were going up?
Yeah, I mean the first year was obviously the easiest year of my life when it came not basically
Right.
everything else
Yeah.
personally within business wise, because the opportunity was there. People didn't care what it was, didn't care the price, didn't care if it was coated or not. I ended up putting on one of the plates that I first started engraved like COVID 2020 on there, so it'd be like a memorabilia piece, and sold it on Facebook and everything. So that was the very first prototypes. That's where people came to buy it just for that reason, and remember the history aspect of it and what was going on. But what kept me going after that? I mean, that was easy at that time. People were buying. I was enjoying the sales. But ever since then, when 2021 rolled around, I just kind of figured, hey, it's ran its course. I've got inventory still. Let's just sell it, and then I'll buy a very minimum if people are still going to buy it, like a very minimal stock thing. And people still bought. It just, was very, very low sales. People had a supply chain update. I mean, supply chain was catching back up with all the cast irons, all the overseas shipments were coming back in and all that. So I just assumed that was it. We're done. But I think my customers are the ones that really showed me like there's still something here, just no pun intended, but literally wait this part out, right? And that's the philosophy behind the company too, not just pandemic company wait it out. There's more behind that name than just a pandemic name. It's literally a patience, and it worked out. I sacrificed some things in 2021 and 2022 to allow me to continue to grow, hopefully long term. I just didn't want to give up. Let's put it that way. I really wanted this. After all said and done.
Can you like define like what types of people were those first customers that urged you to keep going?
We get a lot of, I say, old school lifters, right? People who've been around and big in the industry and know a lot of people. They like the old school styles, the very pancake style, thin style, just raw steel kind of thing. They like that a lot. And that's pretty much where I saw the market going. And I figured, okay, it's going to be a niche product at the end of the day. It may not be mainstream, but I knew I needed I've got feedback from the customers too, saying, hey, you can make this, this, and this. You can try this. And I was like, well, okay, the market's telling me what to do, so let me try this and that. That's why we got the cast iron versions, because the solid steel was very expensive, so we knew we had to figure out a cast iron version too, but we had to make it in America, and we had to design it the same exact way, basically. We wanted the handles, we wanted thin. It brought the price down significantly compared to solid steel, of course, but now it's not calibrated. I was worried about durability because it's so thin, but it turns out the denser it is, the stronger it is at that time. So, yeah, the customers I think I just really wanted to I didn't want to let them down. Let's put it that way. There was a lot of people out there that didn't know about us, and there's a lot of people with the same mentalities that I knew it was more of a niche product at the time, but I wanted to bring it out to more of the masses.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like I mean, I don't know if it's a niche product or, it's one of those products that it just takes time for the word to spread or for the education piece of it because they are slightly different. I mean, it just seems like certain products take longer to expand, but I mean, they are pretty practical, like you said, especially if you're within a small space. So I'd be curious to hear like if you like expand on you mentioned old school bodybuilders. I know we've talked in the past. I mean, you're helping a lot with like the strongman competitions. They seem like really ideal plates for a strongman competition. Just if you could expand on who else could benefit from this style of plate, I think that'd be helpful too.
Yeah, and obviously, yeah, we're pretty successful in the strongman world and some of the other comps coming up, more powerlifting and trying some work on some CrossFit aspects things. I don't know how that's going to go, but we'll see about that. But in regards to where it can benefit other aspects of customers and what their everyday use is, obviously home gym is a big one. I'm just looking behind you. You have a garage gym, obviously, and you maybe 2-car garage, and you do not have. It's not like you have unlimited space, right? So, and I'm assuming that's a green screen now that he moved, but it could be.
No, it's my garage.
Oh, it is. Okay, that's awesome. So, yeah, but that shows the difference of you've got a lot of stuff in your garage, of course, and there's a lot of space there, but weight plates are a necessity in a gym, but you don't want it to be the only thing you have that takes up a lot of space. You got 2-inch weight plates that are big bumpers or whatever you're using, and it just goes along with the rack attachments that you're trying to save space with what you have and do more attachments on there, and even plate loaded rack attachments. You get more plates on there, and again, I keep saying space saving, but I think we're getting farther into people understanding the safety aspects of it too when we go closer to the center of gravity. It makes it a little harder to lift too if you're doing heavy deadlifts or anything. There's no bar whip, which is better for training because you can pick it up all at once. What else? The handles ergonomic aspect of things. You can do multiple exercises, so not just on a bar, and then the different color options. I think the customization is a huge thing in the market, especially for home gyms. Put it this way: if I want a gym that's blue or yellow, or I want that theme because it's my own personal gym, it's my preference, I can buy a pair of weighted out plates that are yellow or blue or green or thing with no minimum order. And it only costs me, $15-20 more per pair. Mm-hmm. And now with the new cast iron plates coming out, I can make everything coordinate. So that's a big one for personal preference. And instead of going to buy brand new plates that you need to buy a minimum order of some sort to get custom plates, that's going to be a lot more cheaper, more inexpensive, I should say, than anything else. Plus, I don't know, some people really value Made in USA as well.
Yeah,
and we like it a lot. So,
can you elaborate on what you mean by the custom?
So on the cast iron plates, we can color them any color you want. Basically, we have I say any color, we can technically, but we have I think 9 or 10 colors to choose from on our website for the cast iron, and we're going to be able to do that with our new plates too, so you can have your set whatever color you want with really, like I said, no minimum order. It's just going to take a 2-week lead time basically, so we can paint them on demand. But we have raw plates ready to go, and just paint it, and then it sips. And actually, this paint is not powder coat; it's stronger than powder coat. It's not an e-coat either. It's a much easier process, but it's stronger than both of those options that I've noticed, and I've tested all of them out, and this was my favorite so far.
Nice. What are the most popular colors?
We get a lot of black, just because it's
black
stock, and I think black is what people are used to, and that kind of goes back to that question of like why, the plates make sense and they're functional, but people aren't used to this product yet. It's still a lot of educational process that needs to be done, and the price, of course, it is what it is. I can't control that. That's just that's the process that it does, and I know we're not for everybody, but there's still a lot of education that but the black is popular. Blue's going to be popular too because they're 45 pounds or 20 kilogram plates basically. So blue's another big one. I think white should start getting more popular, in my opinion. I think it looks very sleek. The white does.
That would be cool.
Yeah, especially if you have a black rack or something, it just pops well with it. But there's some people that buy every single color possible. They just want everything. So they want just not even coordination. They don't care. They just want every color. So
that would be cool. Like a lot. I feel like a lot of like universities and colleges and gyms would like that too.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say for the customization too, we can do the solid steel. We can only do 2 colors, but we can custom engrave on those.
Okay.
So that is a big thing. If if you pay an extra $10, you get a custom engraving. So if your name or your logo, whatever you want, it's your plate now. For no minimum order. So
cool. Can you explain your lineup today as far as plates and other items that you sell? And maybe go into like, have you had any products that just didn't take off at all?
yeah, definitely. I threw a lot of dumb ideas out there to begin with, and maybe not dumb, just maybe they're not ready for the market and not ready for where I'm at in the business aspect. But we've had weight vest plates out of solid steel. That's pretty common. People make those quite a bit. And we didn't sell that well compared to our other plates, of course. We've had MSC, you've seen those lock and load plates. Those were really good for virality and good for functional, but we took the solid steel is not an option unless you want to email me and we can do a custom order. It's just very expensive to do, as we found out, and not many people are willing to spend that much money for a novelty item per se. So we did reinvent it and put a plastic base with the solid steel bullets that's a lot more inexpensive, would still function. There is still some use for it, but I think it's another thing. It's a new product, so it's again back to the education aspect. Like, people need to try it and understand it and get exposed to it more before it catches on. But yeah, there's been other dumbbells. We did dumbbell handles out of solid steel, which were great. They were like 12 pounds each. It was just one piece of metal, right? That's it. And we sold a few, but as we found out as the pandemic died down, the supply chain caught up. It just wasn't going to be a product that made sense for us to do because the inventory was too expensive, and it wasn't moving that much. And that's kind of where we're at this year and going into next year. There's many of stuff I've tried, spent a lot of money, lost a lot of money, just trying different things that the market may want. But right now, maybe come back in 2-3 years, we start some other stuff we tried before, because I just don't think we weren't ready for that. I would say, for trying new things. We didn't have a big enough name to just throw stuff out there. We're like, oh, I'll try that because I know them. We're still so new in the industry that it's a reputability thing, and new products are not going to move as well right away. So we just kind of consolidated a lot of our stuff. Like, let's go weight plates. That's what we're going to do. I mean, we'll do some other things too, back and forth, and we want to work with other small American manufacturers to get on the website, so they have more publicity too, an audience as well. We'll both win. They may have 200 people on their website. We may get 1,000 people on our website. So you put those two together, then they get 1,200 views potentially, kind of like the Rogue would do their system in a way. But we want to work with more small companies that we all benefit from each other in the home gym community, especially.
Yeah. You talked about,
maybe I have a tangent.
Yeah. You mentioned like going viral. You've definitely had, like, you have some unique products that have taken off on Instagram posts and probably other platforms as well. But I'd be curious to hear like your take on what happens when it goes viral. Does it do anything for your business? Does it like help out? Does it hurt? Because there's also probably quite a bit of negative comments. Just your take on going viral. Yeah. Would love to hear that.
It's weird because you think that's like, oh, it's going to change your world, right? I've got 20 million views, garage gym experiment, garage gym reviews, all these garage gym places, home gyms, they've shared this, they've showed it. Wow, I'm there, I made it. No. People just look at it and they forget about you, right? Now, it does increase brand awareness, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah. I've got 20 million people that never saw my product or me or anything, and all of a sudden like, wow, they're going to forget about me. But it's cool to do. It's fun. It's very overwhelming too, when you get everything just keep popping in, and then you just ignore the negative comments. I'll be honest. There's some I used to take it personal, but I really don't give a crap anymore. Like, it just is. It's part of the business. You know, if people got mad at me when they're like, "Well, that's a weird way to treat your customer," and just tell them like they're wrong. I said, "You're not my customer. Sorry, you yelled at me, and I don't get why the point is even yelling at me and saying it's stupid when you're not doing it." But then again, that's just social media. I've just avoided the personal aspect to it. There are some things that I will still internalize, of course. I mean, we all do. It's a personal pride thing. I've worked for almost 5 years trying to get this going, and I think we can all relate to hard work and blood, sweat, and tears and money lost and trying to go, and then somebody says you're an idiot. I'm like, okay, like that's fine. You're not doing it, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I think ignoring those comments are easier said than done. There's just something like within our brains that for whatever reason those stick out, and it's really hard to just ignore.
It is, but I mean, you got to suck up your pride a little bit, right? Because the future of your company doesn't depend on that person that complained about you. You know, it's kind of like,
oh
okay.
yeah,
and it does bring more engagement too. So it does bring more algorithm affected to your posts. So just let them keep coming.
Yeah, I mean it's silly to take it to heart, but for whatever reason it's hard to ignore everything. But yeah, I mean truly, like it's kind of sad, but it's like the controversial stuff is what makes it go viral, and then it's the comments that go back and forth, like the arguing.
Yeah,
that's really what makes, from what I've seen, most posts go viral. I mean,
no, it's true. I mean, you see the political posts and stuff go out there like, why are we doing this? But I know why the people running that ad or running that thing, they do it for a specific reason, because they know it's going to trigger people, you know, but that's not how I want to do business by any means. I don't want to have people yell at each other. I would like to bring people together, not throw them and divide people. So,
yeah. Okay. What about, so I guess you started doing this kind of spur of the moment, but is there anything over the last 4 or 5 years that has surprised you about working within this industry?
Oh, I'm sure tons. Yeah, literally. Surprised that the price is not an issue for people, right? One of those things where when you first go into something and anything you do, you're like, I got to get the price lower than everybody else to make sure we sell stuff. But as you find out, the price is only like 10-15% of the decision-making process. You know, if they want it, they want it. And a want's better than a need. Nobody complains about buying something that they want. They complain about something they need for price being high. Like we look at the current events, the groceries, gas, all that stuff. People complain about those pricing, but they'll go spend $300 at the bar. I'm like, well, that's not really a need, and you're not complaining about that, but you spend that money, but then you go mad about $50 for gas. It is what it is. It's a psychological thing, right? So when the price isn't that much of an issue, which is more surprising in this industry because there's so many options out there. I mean, especially weight plates. I don't think that I would survive if I did the same generic weight plate that everybody else does. We have something much different, which that surprises me too, that it's actually is a huge benefit to the world, and people do see it like, yeah, I want these. This makes more sense. So it's not much like, hey, good job. Cool. I'm surprised that people wanted what I made. You know, one of those things where, okay, cool. That makes it feel good that I'm doing something in my life that's affecting in a good way other people. Now, of course, they give me money for it, but that's business, and that's, you know, I didn't just make something that doesn't benefit somebody. There's a reason they do it. So that's the biggest surprise, is money is not the deciding factor in a lot of things. Community-wise, community is great, especially in the home gym market. People, I mean, word gets around fast, obviously, and it's something I never expected to be into. I expected to sit down, pack plates, market, do this stuff, but now you get more in the grassroots and get more in the trenches aspect of things, which, you know, it's great. It just, now it's back to any other business that I ever done in my life. I've got to go to the trade shows. I've got to go to the networking events. I've got to do all that stuff so people know me. I know the product. So the community is good, but it's a good surprise. I mean, most people in this home gym community and the gym world are very supportive, I will say. And they want to see you succeed, and they're not trying to fight back at you or put you down for any reason. Now, that doesn't mean that's every industry in the fitness world by any means. I mean, there's plenty of people that don't want to see me succeed, right? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it. But I want to see them succeed, because if they're succeeding, it only benefits me, because there's competition for a reason in the market, and we can all work together and collaborate.
Can you tell me about the bumpers? I mean, not only would I love to hear about your patent and any patents that you do have, but yeah, what made you want to create these? Why do you consider them bumpers? And anything else you would want to share to the audience, like, why are these special?
Yeah. Well, so I had the same feeling as everybody else did right away, right? And I was like, can we really make, are these bumpers, right? Are they hybrid plates? Are they rubber coated plates? And after, going back and forth, talking to people in the industry, talking with lifters and what they were looking for, this is what the design we found out. Obviously, thin was the most important part. That was so for space saving, getting more in the bar, because bumper plates are so bulky that you could put 3 on each side and you run out of room. So that was a big challenge to make that, and it took about 1.5 years to actually get them finally designed, after going back and forth talking with different people, lifters. But why we call them bumpers is that because they are theoretically bumpers. With the other competitive bumpers that are high durometers that don't bounce much, that's exactly the same way they bounce, right? You saw the video, right? Probably, because I threw them on concrete in the back, and I was like, I'll show you why. You can't do that with rubber-coated plates. You can't throw them on concrete, because, well, one of those is going to break. If it's going to be the seal of the rubber coating, if it's going to be the concrete, or it's going to be the actual plate inside, who knows? You can't do that. But you can do it with these plates, because the proprietary process, it's a polyurethane, obviously coated, but on the perimeter, or the diameter, that's a lot thicker and harder polyurethane there. That's compression molded. So you're looking at like this thick on there, which doesn't seem like much, but if you obviously saw, I point this way because that's where I did it out in the concrete, but you saw there was no damage to them. And it was cold outside too. The cold air is not as good for, rubber, because it's obviously could be more brittle, or when I say rubber, polyurethane, could be more brittle, but there was no damage on them, nothing. I wouldn't condone doing that 24/7 by any means, but we've tested for it. We've dropped these things on concrete from 10 feet high hundreds of times at the same plate, just keep going down to make sure that nothing breaks or cracks, and the insert would be the only weak point in my opinion. I mean, the plate it's like the solid steel plate. You can't break those things. There's not much to it, which is great. It's so simple that it's so durable. So in regards to bumper, there's some bounce to it. We've designed it to have very, very low bounce, though, because in the competitive industry or competitive lifting, if it's bouncing back at you and you're going for reps, like on specifically a deadlift, you don't want that. You got to set it back down. So you don't want to have it keep jumping up. You want it to hit it, bounce once, and stop, and that's it. Now people can use this in their obviously gym. I always suggest mats, but as you saw, you can put it on your concrete. You could put it on asphalt. You could put it on wood, whatever you want to do. I still wouldn't recommend putting it on wood or something in your house if you're doing deadlifts by any means. It's the plates are too durable. They may be an issue on some substrates, but hopefully that answers the question. It's a bumper, and I went through the process, and I thought, again, my mindset was like everybody else's with the perception from a distance. I said, well, this is just a rubber-coated plate. This isn't what I thought it was. But as I started playing with it, testing it, bringing it to other people, because I definitely gave it to other lifters and like, hey, tell me what this is. Tell me if this is what you consider a bumper plate or you consider this a rubber-coated plate. And the consensus was it's a highly durable bumper plate, right? It's thin. You can hear the steel inside, but on the outside of it, it's definitely a highly durable bumper plate. And I would challenge anybody to take a regular rubber coated plate and do the same thing. Go throw it on concrete from that. I should probably do it myself, but I rent this
Yeah,
place,
you
and if I break
should.
the concrete, yeah, I'm gonna break the
Oh,
concrete. And
right, you
then,
rent it.
yeah, they won't be happy with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a comment from Havoc on the post that I made, like, are these bumper plates? And I mean, I think he kind of got it right. It was like, who really cares what it's called? I mean, this is what it is, you know. Um, it's a plate that you can use like a bumper plate. I don't know, but I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
they're definitely, if you put them side by side next to like a rep urethane coated plate, which is also a nice plate, you know. One is clearly meant to be like dropped and deadlifted, and one is more for like, putting on machines, putting on a barbell for bench. It's there. There's definitely different features that make them different and like better for a certain different option. With that being said, I'd love to hear who you think the first customers, or the ideal first customer for these types of bumper plates are, and like, I'd be curious to hear like who were the first people that used them and how did they use them.
Yeah, so we've had 3 production runs so far. First one, I mean, that was the major one, which I was like, okay, are people going to buy these without having any evidence in the world that they're going to work, right? Well, they were sold out basically. I think we had like 20 pairs left when we did it, and we were sold out within that week. Okay, now I wait for the feedback, right? Okay, what are these people going to say when they get them? Are they going to do what I anticipate, or is it going to be like completely just, hey, this is not what I expected, goodbye? Predominantly, I mean, I didn't get any, no, not one person had negative feedback, and we only got a few reviews, unfortunately, but we didn't, that was our first production run. And then our second production run, now that people knew about it, it was sold out before it got there. So I already had something coming behind it because I figured it was going to be bad. So now I actually have stock. But Christmas time, not many people buy stuff during these few weeks for the fitness industry specifically. But that's a good thing because we have stock, and when January hits, we'll have more stock because I expect more. But the customers, the home gyms are obviously the big one again. I'm going to keep going with that one because that's my major buyers. They're great because they can. I've had people say, "Hey, I like to lift in the morning, but I know my wife's and kids. I'm up early, and I don't want to be banging around solid steel or cast iron. So these are great for the noise reduction, for doing, putting it on the bar, or if you're doing little deadlifts, their noise reduction is better. And customers who value durability, think of. I remember when I bought a phone. I suck at phones. I just break them all the time. But remember, there was a Samsung Active that I could throw in the water. This is before they started making them the way they do now. And I was like, I just don't want to have to worry about breaking anything because I break stuff easily. So that's the customers that we're at. Like, you're going to have these, and you can throw it in. You can throw it in your truck. You can throw it on wherever you're at. You can go outside in the weather, all thing, and they will never be an issue. So that's customers who value that, I guess, reliability and never have to worry about mistreating them because they're that doesn't mean that something can't happen to them, but we'll replace them. We do have a lifetime warranty. So, yeah, hopefully, another tangent of mine, but hopefully that answered your question in regards to customers' feedback. But the competitions are slowly going to start using some. We're testing some out in some other competitions. We have some people that are grabbing, some big names that are grabbing them and trying them, and so far they've touched them. They're like, these are nice. We can use these. And commercial gyms, that would be our next venture, is because now we don't have to worry about cast iron or solid steel liabilities. Now we have this, polyurethane bumper plate that it's not going to hurt people's floors, and they don't have to worry about customers chopping out their toes per se. It's still going to hurt if it drops, but and then we got our first college, like outfitting their whole college, not with bumper plates, so these are going to be cast iron. But those are where I see these customizations. We can customize them long term too. So the sky's the limit. It's just a matter of getting it out there, and you're going to see more and more feedback from customers on other websites, social media, as we get more out there. I mean, we only have, I'll be honest with you. I think we've only, people who actually have them in their possession that have bought them are probably 0.0000001% of the population, right? Of potential lifters. We've only got 600 that maybe got 600 pairs that were sent out. That's it. I mean, because they're hard to make. They're very hard to make.
Yeah.
And they take time. But that's the good thing and the bad thing, right? We know there's a lot. It's almost handmade, most of it being done, and we just don't have the right data for all the feedback. But so far, there is no negativity to it by any means. And maybe you can clarify that based on what your experience using them, because any feedback is always appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, I've only had them a few days. I definitely think I've only had them a few days. I've only used them a few times, but they definitely feel like dead bounce bumper plates that are really durable. It would be nice to have quite a bit of them. And also, what about like smaller weight increments? Is that on your radar?
Yes, it is. It's taking a long time for the tooling because we've got to test every single one, the new molds and everything. And we just finished the 25-pound one. We're going to have the 10-pound, 2.5, 5-pound, and obviously 45. We're going to make it black. So we're going to call them thumper plates. So we're going to have TH and small INB, and then big UMPER. So they're really thin bumpers, right? They're called thin bumpers, but we happen to have thumper in that name, which makes sense because they thump more than they bump, right? So in saying that it's going to have a little bunny logo on there, and it's going to have the name across it, and it's going to be black, and we're going to have all the sizes. But I mean, most importantly is the 45s, or the larger weights, because that's what's hitting the ground. The other ones, the 25s, they're going to be smaller diameters, so they won't hit the ground or anything. But I think the change plates will be good for loadable dumbbells.
Okay.
I mean, they're going to be an inch thick, maybe. So it's going to help the loadable dumbbells, and cast iron and stainless steel are great for that, but it's not as forgiving as polyurethane thumper plate. And if I could share my screen, I'd show you the design because we have the design and everything, but actually I don't even know where it's at.
You can share your screen if you want, I think.
Yeah, let's see if I have it saved properly here, because it may be just on my phone. It's got to be. I think it's the OneDrive has transferred everything on my phone to my computer, which would be very convenient, but it's a matter of finding. Here it is. Okay.
You can also email it to me if you don't see a share button.
I think there's a share button. I think I saw it there. Share screen. Okay. So, can you see it by chance?
It's loading. Oh yeah, nice. Okay, it's a tough bunny.
It's
That's
tough
what
bunny.
I was.
It's not just like
I was thinking it should be a tough bunny. Thumper.
Yeah, it's.
I like that. I mean, I was actually thinking before this. I've seen a few people. I was thinking about this. A few people mentioned like you could work on the branding, or they'd want better branding. I was thinking it might be kind of cool to just have a different name for each type of plate and add that logo to each one. I don't know, like it'd be hard to name them all, but
I mean, you can call it, there's a way, and it's the marketing aspect to it, and people, as I market research per se, after talking to people, that was one of their big things was blue's boring, right? But we came out with blue to see if it worked because that was a common color for 45 pounds or 20 kilogram plates.
Right. So
we just said, let's try it. But then people blue's boring to them. They wanted black. And then how do I, the big thing for me is differentiating from a distance, right? Blue from a distance. If I look at I can see the weighted out plate back there behind it. Obviously I can see the, I don't think it's a fringe one. I'm not sure, but you can see that from a distance.
Mayhem.
You know exactly what Mayhem. That's a Mayhem plate. I didn't know that. So sorry, Mayhem. But because I didn't know, I'm just looking at mine there. But the goal was to keep it identified from a distance for brandability. And we had some other designs, but people didn't really like them at all. So we just, I guess, just black. And I mean, it's hard to tell from a distance still, but that's what the common consensus was. We can do other colors long term, but I'm trying to keep everything simple as possible. More SKUs mean that margins have to go up, and inventory is going to be higher, and I'm not going to be the best I could possibly be with one product.
Yeah. No, I like it. I think that's cool. What about, can you explain getting involved into competitions? Is it hard to get involved in? I see you are getting into some of the larger strongman competitions. Is it hard to get into them? What do you usually get out of it? And then like, what do you hope to see as far as your involvement with competitions in the future?
Yeah. So I think that's a testament to the product, which is awesome. In regards to, I have something here and people like it and they want it in the competitions. Do competitions bring money? No, no, not at all. But the publicity and I think it's cool to have all the big lifters and the people who are, very into the sport liking the plates and like, these are awesome, right? They tell me like, this is so cool. Obviously you've got to put upfront marketing costs, and that's kind of part of marketing, but it also shows the reputable aspect of the plates. Like, these are used by strong men and strong women, and they're in these competitions, and then when they get into powerlifting, and if they ever get into CrossFit stuff, which I kind of don't think we'll see if that ever gets there, but it's well worth it, and I enjoy going to competitions. I enjoy meeting everybody, but to get in there was just maybe a fluke. Just people saw it. They liked the Made in USA, and they liked the thinness for that thing. And there were so many more apparatuses, especially in strongman world, that our plates work really well in because they're thin and there's the diameters. Depending on what you're doing, it's much easier. Like we did some wrecking balls in OSG that they were able to put 600 pounds in a wrecking ball just to hold as long as they could.
I saw that. Yeah,
we've never been able to do that. So. And it's just those cool, unique things that you don't think about. Now, unfortunately, it's hidden in balls or it's hidden in a car. And it's not, deadlifting. They try to make it look bigger, so my plates are not as much fun for them in a showmanship kind of thing. But to get in the events, I did just more of. They called me up, and first couple of years ago was when I first started it, during a very first inaugural event, and they purchased half from me, but. It's an expensive endeavor, right? It's you're like, oh yeah, I'll just give you weights. I don't have the row kind of money or the rep kind of money. I have I want to do this, but I cannot. I'll lose. I'll go bankrupt. Mm-hmm. So there's some ways we worked around that, but there's also let's say for the event coming up in Home Gym Con with Kurt Locker and doing the Strongman Throwdown. I'm excited about that. I want to do this more often, and we worked out where, hey, I want to sponsor your plates indefinitely, but at the same time, for all parties involved, to get some break-even money and help customers who are there that want the plates but don't want to pay full price, they can get those plates after they're used, and that'll help pay for, I know he's mentioned all that. If we make anything off it, we're going to pay for the volunteers. We're going to put them up more. They deserve it first. And I was like, I completely agree. We're not looking to profit off it. We're looking to break even so we can continue the events, right? And with me, it gives me the more publicity, more reputability with the products, and it shows that people putting on the events they use high quality things, and that's great for athletes as well, because they're the most important thing. Is the athletes need to be happy. If they're not happy, they're not going to use my plates. But obviously, they're in USS Nationals. OSG, we have a lot of regional ones that we'll be playing with. We're actually going to be, with our solid steel one, we got approved by the Strongman Corp to go for the world deadlifting record with our solid steel ones, because they're calibrated. Nice. We'll weigh every single one of them still, of course, but that's coming up in March, I think, in Colorado Springs. So now, not everybody is happy using our plates by any means, because they are thin and they're hard to pick up. They can't use the deadlift bar whip or anything, but when they're great training plates if you got other competitions, right. Because hey, we're lifting everything at once. Now it's easy to do the same weight for another competition. So
yeah,
But yeah, it's just a matter of people reaching out, sponsoring, and being selective because I can't do everybody. But I'm working out plans with people, as many as I can, to do like rental programs where they can make money back and we can have free rentals long term, and everybody's happy. Promoters obviously do this for basically nothing, and they reduce a lot of stress, which is very appreciative of them. It's a very passionate thing. But how can I help them turn a profit for themselves while using our plates instead of just saying, well, we got plates now, but we can't do anything with them, and we're still losing money on the events. There's multiple ways to work with them. So
it is tough, and each event or each competition it takes years of build up before usually they get to any place of where they can truly have the influence within those promotions to make it worth it. So it's definitely you're definitely taking a chance as well. But I do think like there's a reason people do it. It's it supports the athletes, and I do think it ultimately pays off in the long run, for sure. So
yeah, that's the hope.
It just takes a while.
You gotta wait it out. I mean,
wait it out.
The goal is.
Wait it out.
That's
But yeah, I hope, not to make this about Home Gym Con, but I do hope that we are doing it a little bit differently than everybody else and trying to make sure that everybody has the ability to purchase stuff after. Like you said, it can kind of be a win-win for people who want cheaper plates, and then also help people so that they don't have huge loads to take home, and that they're just not going to waste. So yeah, hopefully next June it should be a smooth transition as far as all of the plates, because it takes a ton of weight, especially I think Kurt's competition's probably going to have 80. That'd be my guess. 80 people competing. So we'll see.
I think there's 145s and 25s, not 100 of it. The 45s are going to be obviously the most amount there. And then we're going to work with Rob Vintage on his grip strength, because he needs more calibrated plates, so he's got the solid steel versions. And then, we're not approved by the Calibration Bureau by any means. I don't think we ever will be. I'm not really going for that, because that's not really our market. I know they're calibrated. I know what they weigh, and people can go with it. I get that. But, I don't need to be in that. Not yet. Just don't have that kind of assets to go through that process. But I am looking forward to all the Home Gym Con, because, I think I'm going to bring, for people who flew in, let's say, they can't just bring a pair of 45s or anything back on the plane. I think I'm going to bring my little strapping machine and tape and lots of boxes and be like, hey, buy it, we'll ship it to you right here from here, so you can at least see them getting in the box and going. Or we can do it when we get back. I just want to offer that service so they don't have to, they can still get the deal.
Yeah. And hopefully people can, we discussed trying to get them listed beforehand. People can pre-purchase as well, so it takes some of the risk out as well.
Yeah, we should probably get a landing page for that too.
All right, cool. Yeah,
for myself as well. But
yeah, coming up 6 months away.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else do we have here. I'd be curious to hear if we go back to collaboration. That is kind of like a hot topic. We've seen a few examples. You mentioned it's really tough. Do you have an ideal collaboration with a different company, or something that would, just knowing that you're a smaller made in America manufacturer grinding it out still, any collaboration or any examples of an ideal collaboration, either from somebody bringing something to you, or on the other hand you working with a larger company to bring something to the market?
Yeah, larger companies obviously would be awesome to have that collaboration, per se, if I could add my product to their website and they can have a percentage of it. But unfortunately, with larger companies, they have their own stuff with it when it comes to weight plates, so they're not trying to, unless there's something completely different. Let's just, for instance, Rogue. They have a US-made version that's thin too without any handles, so they're probably not going to want me on there, of course, because it's going to take away from their investment, and I get that. But for like the lock and load plates, let's say, if these do become a functional product and people do like them after we try to push it a little more, that'd be cool to put on people's websites because it's easy for me to make, and it's less expensive for the consumer to have, and we have a patent on it, so it'd be great to get them on other websites and at least show them off. There's so many other apparatuses or machines that they do benefit with, like I think they commented on your post yesterday, a man who parks in the gym. I don't know if you know him at all or talked to him. I sent him he's like, I got a perfect spot for these lock and loads. I know what to do. And he put him on his shoulder machine. You know, if he wants to do 1 or 2 pound increments, it fits perfectly on there and loads fast without putting new plates on there. So like that situation, that application is perfect. So yeah, to collaborate with those big companies for certain product lines would be great. My big thing is I want to help other small companies too. You know, if it's, I'm just going to throw a name out there just because they're small. Let's just say Bear Steel. I mean, we're both small, Bear Steel, I think, equipment. And there's lots of individuals like himself that they have full-time jobs. You know, they do this as a passion. They love doing it. But they may want to scale. And now why not leverage my marketing budget and, you know, my audience too, get on the website. You know, of course, you know, I'll take a percentage just for the marketing, but my customers will have the I guess not the privilege, but the consolidating purchases per se. I'm trying to think of the word, but my brain just turned off apparently. They will have the luxury of being able to look around on the website and be like, oh, I didn't know this existed, which helps the smaller companies be like, oh, well, I'm going to buy it from them because I already have a cart going. I got $500 free shipping. I'll put it in there. And now something that nobody have ever seen because maybe the marketing budget isn't big or they got a full-time job. They can't do anything. They're just trying to get it out there. They now have multiple more ways of exposing them. That sounds weird. Multiple ways of exposure. So that's the big one that I want to work on. And that was kind of my plan for this year and next year is to get, and Home Gym Con definitely helped with that. So that's a huge networking event that can allow for that kind of business scenario to happen.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense because most like your average home gym owner doesn't know every single thing that all 50 companies sell, you know, or they're not keeping track. They're not like staying on top of it. So especially if it's like a more niche product and everybody's kind of has their own thing and you showcase what everybody else has, that makes sense to me. One thing that I mean, not comparing you to Rogue at all, but one thing that I heard way back in the day was Rogue, if you got onto Rogue's website, is if you were like chalk or some sort of accessory, it changed your business. I don't know if that's still the case anymore because there's so much more competition, but I see the idea behind it, and so can't hurt.
No, not at all. I mean, it's only going to benefit each other. It's not really a cost associated with it except for putting a product up, right? It's not an investment that's going to do much. It's more of, you know, can that small company take a smaller percentage of margin to be able to offer that service, right? Not every company can. I mean, for me, I've got very small margins, so therefore, I would love to work through distribution too, and like have other people distribute the products. But I found that I tried that; it just doesn't work for both parties. And I don't want to raise the price to a point that doesn't make sense for customers. So that's one way. But what was I going to say with regards to the marketing funds? That's the biggest thing for companies like myself and small companies is marketing. It's so expensive to market. You've got, even if you buy a marketing agency, or not buy one, if you hire a marketing agency, then you still got to do ads. I mean, that people see my ads because I continue to throw money at it. Like, here, just please keep showing people because we're trying to build the brand awareness and the reputability. But not everybody can do that, especially small companies. So why can't there be like a crowdsourced pool of marketing? And I know, not to mention Garage Gym Reviews, but I had, you know, they did the bumpers too. They showed them off and they liked them. But the cool thing about that was Freak Athlete obviously paid them to take the video from Garage Gym Reviews And just so happened my plate was on their ad. He was using it on the Freak Athlete machine, so there's my plate. I talked to some local people, and they're like, "Oh, I just bought a Freak Athlete machine, and I saw your plate, so I bought the plate." I was like, "So
Nice.
that's cool." Like, how do we do that with people that are not a conflict of interest for our company, right? When it comes to Bear Steel or JD Equipped or Black Widow, those kind of people, they're not doing weight plates, but we're all trying to market to our customer base. But how can we say, hey, let's have one single ad that has all our products featured on there? And we have the ability to, if it's from Weighted Out, I obviously love that. They could buy all those options at Weighted Out. But now we're showing off everything, and we're crowdfunding the marketing budget for everybody, so everybody wins. That just was a fluke, obviously, with Freak Athlete for me. But that is a business plan that I think would be a great idea to bring everybody together in.
Yeah, I wonder how you could get that to work. Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously, it should be pretty simple. Just, hey, if you've got a Black Widow rack, let's say, you've got a Freak Athlete, you've got Weighted Out plates, and you've got Bear Steel and JD Equipped products all incorporated in one video, and just kind of highlight them, right? Like, this is what I don't know. Just have to have good videographers and good graphic artists and editors, and next thing you know, it costs you $1,000 to do the video, and then everybody says, let's put in this much per day. That would highlight everything at once. That's going to give us more attention. And ultimately, I know it sounds bad. I'm not trying to be like, hey, I want to go through me. But I want to be able to sell all that stuff on our website too. So therefore, they're not doing as much. They're not doing the work. They're just shipping it out because they're the manufacturer at the end of the day. They're making it. Their job is to make it and ship it. They're not trying to worry about customer service, the marketing aspect, the delivery time, the FedEx rates, all that stuff. They just need to make it. And I want to, I will get it to the customer, that kind of thing. But let's work together in a crowdsourced marketing fund per se.
Gotcha.
That's like
no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think there's something there. There could be something there. I don't. Way back when, I kind of had the same idea, and I started like a mini e-commerce store. With Garage Gym Experiment, it's a little bit easier to. It's not like I was selling my brand, so it was more like an e-commerce store with random products. And I had, I was bootstrapping it, so I started with some fat grips, some rings, some ab mats. There were a few other smaller things, and it never really. I didn't give it enough time, but I still think something like that could work for sure. You would have, like, my big issue was like I was losing money on like shipping and this and that. But I mean, I definitely think like, Zappos is an example of somebody that collaborated with a bunch of shoe companies and made an enormous e-commerce shoe store. There's plenty of like stores like Cabela's and those sorts of. Like, I think somebody could do that in the gym equipment space, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, to be a distributor, and maybe drop shipper, that kind of thing, which makes sense. But I come from the distribution background, industrial supplies. So think of Grainger, Fastenals, MSCs. Have you heard of them before? Those are the gorillas in the room. Those are like the rogues of that world.
Yeah.
They've got a billions of dollar budget. Right? They can throw stuff in inventory, not worry about it. And they somehow make high margins too. When I try to sell to customers, like in manufacturing world, like, well, we got to beat you up on price, but they'll go buy 60% margin items because it's all in one spot, right? That's a consolidation. We're saving paperwork with POs or less, and we don't have to worry about a thing, and we've just got one account, which I get. And we get a 5% rebate at the end of the year, even though we spend more and we lose more money. But we're trying to give them upfront cost. So, yeah, it's definitely doable, and there are companies out there that do it. But as I'm seeing, it takes a big budget at first to be that go-to spot. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at... I'll be transparent with everybody. I don't care what I'm spending on marketing, and it's a small budget compared to other people out there. Like, what Rogue's spending on marketing is probably $100,000 a month, if not more.
Oh, more.
For me...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And there, that's how brand awareness happens. You don't even know. You just think it's always been there. Like, oh, Rogue's always been here, or Waited Out's always been here. I see them all the time, so they must have been here for years. Maybe they haven't been, maybe they have. But they just continue to get in your brain, and it just becomes a household name in your industry at that point. But yeah, for me, I'm spending with my marketing team that I'm outsourcing, and with the budget that I put in there, and it's not a lot. Like I need more, but I don't have the money. But it's easily $8,000 a month just in marketing, and that sometimes it goes up and down depending on what the Black Friday sales, that kind of thing. So, and we did have our best month ever in November. So I appreciate to all the customers, like you guys. We've never been to that level. We killed it in regards to. I think we grew from last November to this November. It was probably 35-40% of more in sales. So I really do appreciate everybody's support, and I'm glad to see that I'm doing something that benefits people.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I like to ask companies that started around COVID, like I think there are a lot of companies that perked up during COVID because they saw a need, and some went under, or some just stopped, and then some are still going. I'd be curious to hear why you think you're still going, or like what you did so that set you apart from some other companies, and why you're still in this, and why you're still alive, why you're actually like still
I'm still alive. Who knows? I don't feel it, but a lot of freaking work, and I'm not going to swear anything, but yeah, it's. I was talking about this with iFoundry the other day because they make plates for other companies. Obviously, can't disclose who they make plates for, but they're barely buying any plates for a year. These other companies, and they're not small companies. They're just not. The U.S. made stuff is not really selling for them, because my opinion, it's not a niche enough product. It doesn't really benefit the customer in a huge different way. It's not. How do I say this? The product isn't so different that it makes sense to buy. Like if you can go to 25 different weight plate companies in my industry, my thing, but they're all technically just different colors or the same, or you go to Fringe, or go to Crandall, or go to Mayhem, and they all have bumper plates that are similar. They're just different colors, different designs, or pricing may be the issue, but these companies have a lot of money, but they're not buying as many plates as I am from my foundry, and it's because of the unique design.
Yeah.
Right? It's everybody has a 2-inch thick cast iron plate, put some handles in it. You got yourself a plate. What sets you apart from the 40 other people that do it, right? You might as well just go buy a standard barbell plate from overseas that's, $1 a pound. It's the same difference at that point. Which, they got cool designs, but there's no unique, really over-the-top features that allow somebody to make that decision. And the price is higher than, doesn't make sense. If the price is high and the product's not doing much of a benefit for the customer, then why would they buy it? They can get something the same way for a little bit inexpensive. Ours sets us apart just because we are a niche product, and we've quadrupled to almost 5 times the amount of sales that those big companies have done with American-made plates. Because what's the point for them to buy it? I hope that makes sense. Like why we've lasted that long. So we're not the same, and it's a saturated market, and we're not trying to saturate it. We're trying to innovate versus just do the same thing everybody else is doing. Then it's not helping any of the customers.
No, it totally makes sense. I think one thing, like I've done the survey data year after year after year, and I feel like I have a pretty good sense of like buying tendencies. And while there are some people they're dead set on buying made in America, that's not like the only feature. You can't just because it's made in America, most people aren't just going to buy that unless they already know who you are. So there does have to be like a differentiator, or whether that's like you supported their competition, whether it's a design, whether they're right next door to you or they're in your area and they can pick it up. Like there has to be something else. It can't just be because we're made in America. It has to be, especially when I think people's wallets are as tight as they've been in a while. So I know you mentioned earlier, like, people complain I still think even if you save where you can, like if there's no differentiator, you're not just gonna randomly buy this over this. So it has to really help solve a need as well. And obviously, your plates do solve a need for a lot of people. So that's why they buy them.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, it's exactly right. It's just there's something that's being solved in the market, and obviously nobody else makes them. So you can only get them from weighted out at that point.
Yeah.
Solid steel. People can make solid steel too. I don't know why they. I'll be honest. Now the competitors are listening. Maybe, who knows? Why aren't they doing it? I mean, is it just a expensive process, which I know, but why is nobody else do? It's not a hard thing to do. Okay, it's not easy, but it's not hard. But the raw material is very expensive, and the machining process is expensive, the coating process. But there's a need for it in the market. So I'm just wondering where the other ones are at. Microgains does solid steel.
Honestly, if somebody else comes out with thin plates, a more popular company, and come out with thin iron plates or whatever, something similar, people are going to see that, and then people are going to say, "Oh, those look like the weighted out plates." And then those people that never heard a word weighted out are going to see, "Oh, weighted out. I've never heard of them." So like. I don't think it would hurt you if somebody else did anyways. So,
and I wouldn't mind that. I mean, it's competition. It's the way this market works for this time being, and that's why we have patents to protect certain designs. But the weird part about weight plates in mine is nobody can make the same thing ever or redesign it the way I have, because physics can't be adjusted. So that's the cool part about the cast iron ones. Now, solid steel. Yeah, you can do lots of things with it, different designs and everything. But yeah, to get back to your point with I like my market. It's not the low price market by any means. I wouldn't say it's the high price market. I'd say it's like the mid tier to high price, in between there. But when people complain and like say, "Hey, it's weight's a weight," I was like, "Yeah, it might be, but not everybody wants that weight." And it's like why they have different models of cars. Right? You don't go into a Mercedes-Benz dealership and say, like, "Your price is too high, Kia's better." Well, then go to Kia. Like, we're not the same. We're the same product. And it's one of those things you want to work towards versus something you can just afford on a daily basis. In my thing, I want to be that. We got to work towards to get their plates.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, last question. What do you hope the next few years look like for you?
Profitable, hopefully. I mean, obviously, I can't keep doing this with losing money. We're reinvesting a lot of that we're putting in there. So obviously, we got all this tooling for the new cast iron plates, all the tooling for the new bumper plates. We're upped inventory for all the solid steel plates. So we basically took what we had and just reinvested it into these new things. Now, I don't plan on doing a lot more tooling for different things the next 2-3 years. I think we're at a good base right now with the different options of weight plates that we have now. So we cover all of them: the solid steel, the cast iron, the bumpers, or thumpers. I'm going to start calling them now because that's what they're going to be. But I think we're just going to continue staying kind of even keel and continue to grow with what our inventory or our product line is right now. And of course, try to bring in other small manufacturers to offer and show the support on our website. But otherwise, I'm just going to continue doing competitions. I know we're at OSG for indefinitely, and they have other 5 major events throughout the years.
Yeah.
Throughout the year, so all our plates are going to always be in there, and continue to grow the strongman market. I really am starting to focus. I want to get more in the bodybuilding market too, because it's a whole different thing. The strongmen, of course, they're more aesthetically pleasing when it comes to what they use and what the weight plates they have, and they are more isolation machines. So plate loaded is big for that. They're still big. They're still lifting, but if you're using isolation machines or tower machines, then our plates are a perfect fit for that.
For sure.
6-inch sleeve, let's say they have on there. So our goal is to get into more markets, sports teams, colleges, if it's local gyms or YMCAs, that kind of thing. I'm going to start pushing there. And if anybody's listening and is looking to sell for us, I'm looking for somebody to be like a commission rep per se. They can still do whatever they want to do, daytime job. They can work as hard or as little as they want. I just need help getting our name out there for the B2B aspect side of things.
Good to know.
Yeah, that's where we're going. Hopefully B2B too.
Cool. All right. Well, good chat. Thanks for taking the time. Anything else before we hit the stop button?
I don't know if anybody knows we do like a lot of custom engraving, but remember custom engraving just because it's a service that we don't advertise, but it's, I think, a future of customization is a future just for inexpensive, for home gyms especially. So that's about it. I mean, it's on the website, but I'm not trying to sell myself. I like talking to you, and I enjoy everything there. Just I hope the plates speak for themselves. And as always, Jake and I know Adam and Ryan and Mike obviously couldn't be here for this one, but I do appreciate everything you guys are doing in the industry.
Thank you.
So let's keep it going, and I'm here to help if you need anything else.
Right back at you.